by recording. Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to today's meeting. This is Pecten Toastmasters Club, and it's election season for those of us in Nigeria. And this meeting is aptly themed a, the power of voting. As always in Toastmasters meeting, we would start by reading out the Toastmasters promise. You do not need to read out aloud. You can just keep your mics muted and read along with me. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational and recognition programs, and to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters meetings. In addition, we would also take the Pecten Club mission statement. Our mission is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Welcome everyone to today's meeting. This is Pecten Toastmasters Club, and we would be our meeting today is aptly themed the power of voting. It is presidential elections within Nigeria where we are based, and there is a quote by Harry Emerson Fosdick that says, "Democracy is based upon the conviction that there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people." I would like to call on our president for our opening remarks. We have missed her, so we are so glad to have her here today. Toastmaster Tari, the virtual lectern is yours.
This Master Essay, this is what I call waiting, because this was not
You
the
just
agreement.
1 minute, 30 seconds. We just want to hear your voice.
All right, good evening, Toastmasters and guests. It's
Good
really
evening.
privileged to be here again. And this meeting this month, as our VP has already said, is aptly themed the power of voting. And I know it's a crucial time in Nigeria. For those of us on the call who are Nigerians, pardon me if you're not, but for those of us who are Nigerians, a crucial time for our nation. We are at the verge of choosing a new leader, someone who will lead the country for the next 4 or 8 years, and votes are required. When you think about the Nigerian election and you think about the whole process, I don't know what goes on in your mind, but I believe that one thing that is common to each and every one of us would be that we would want to see a country that is actually doing better. I believe there's no one on this call that is actually happy with the way things are now. We know as Nigerians, we have much more to give the world than we are currently doing. And so I believe everyone wants to see a better nation. And that better nation can only be birthed when each and every one of us comes out of our little corners, big corners, and do the needful, which is casting our votes. I don't know how many people have their voting cards, but I believe that those who have their voting cards will not shy away because of the issues that are currently ongoing, will come out on Saturday and cast their votes. You do not have the right to complain if you do not come out and actually vote the person or the candidate of your choice. And so if we want to see this nation go to the next level, we must do what is needful, the only thing we can actually even do, what is required of us, which is to cast our votes. Now, I know in Toastmasters, we are not partisan, we actually don't shy away from most topics like this. So I'll actually beg each and every one of us that when we are giving our speeches, be it table topics or prepared speeches, please try and be in the middle. Do not try to be on the offensive, and also don't be on the defensive. Let us keep our speeches, let our speeches be pleasing to the ears. Let us not say anything derogatory. whether about its existing government or the people who are actually vying for these positions. That's not what Toastmaster stands for. So we chose this theme, not because we want to create pockets, different pockets or different sections, but we actually want to just see what people think or hear what the ideas people have about voting. And so that's why this theme was chosen today. So when you speak, please speak with caution and let's not offend each other. Having said that, I'll hand the lectern back to our Vice President Education, Toastmaster SA, to continue. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much. Please confirm if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you loud and
Oh,
clear.
okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that beautiful call to action. We will now immediately move over to our role players introduction. Our first role player today would be our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Oluwatosin Olorunleke. He's a procurement engineer and currently the president of All City Speakers Club. He's on the strategic relationships pathway and his hobby is playing football. His favorite quote is, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right." Please put your hands together as I welcome on the lectern Toastmaster Oluwatosin.
Thank you very much, Madam VP, Toastmaster SA. It's a pleasure to be back at Pecten Toastmasters. Toastmaster SA, I don't know if you work for the CIA because I don't remember giving you this picture of mine. So I don't know where you found it, but I will carry out my investigations. Madam President has spoken aptly already as regards the elections, and the only thing I would echo is tiny drops of water make the mighty ocean. So if you feel as though you have just one vote and you feel as though it doesn't matter, remember it's the many singular votes that actually come together to make a difference. So please, when Saturday comes around, step outside and have the intention of making a difference. We have a beautiful meeting planned today. It's not just going to be a regular meeting because we actually have two people who are going to be completing their pathways with their final speeches. And aside that, we also have our division director in our midst. So we're actually going to have 3 segments, as is typical of every Toastmasters meeting. We're going to have the table topic segment. We're then going to have the prepared speech segment. And then we'll have the evaluation segment. I always like to emphasize that every segment is important. So if you feel as though, oh, you've listened to the wonderful speeches in store for us today and you need to rush off, please, as much as possible, just stick around because the evaluations would be even more beautiful. That being said, I'd like to introduce our general evaluator who will be introducing us or introducing the other role players for today's meeting. And you've met her already. I'm talking about our Vice President Education, Toastmaster SA.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day, and hello everyone. I'll be serving as the general evaluator, and my role is to note on everything that happened before, during, and the meeting. I would then, alongside my tag team, share our evaluations and suggestions on how we can improve subsequent meeting. I would now immediately be introducing our other role player today. Our other role player is our counter, Toastmaster Ekuchi Joy. She's a biomedical scientist and data analyst. She's currently the vice president membership for Pecten Toastmasters Club and is on the dynamic leadership pathway. She loves watching interesting shows, making money, traveling, and spending time with family. Her favorite quote, just like the Toastmaster of the day, is by industrialist Tom Ford, and it says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Toastmaster Joy, kindly come on the virtual lectern to introduce your role. Hello, Toastmaster Joy. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me as well?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Today I will be serving as accountant of the day. Pardon if I sound a bit out of breath. My job today would be to take note of pause fillers that are commonly used during speeches. I would also take note of repetitive words as well, like and, when, and also sounds like that are used to just fill up those spaces. We've been taught to make good use of our pauses as Toastmasters. So today I'll be looking out for that. And also I'll be looking out for our listening skills. I'll be giving a few statements that people have said over the course of the meeting, and I'll be asking who said what. So looking forward to an interesting meeting, and it's back to you, the general evaluator.
Thank you so much, our accountant and Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Ekuchi. We look forward to your report at the end of the meeting. In Toastmasters, we like to say that a Toastmaster never walks alone, but a Toastmaster wears many hats. I would also be double hatting as the grammarian. My role is to listen to both proper and incorrect usage of grammar. In addition, I would be introducing a word of the day, which we encourage members to use throughout the meeting and also subsequently in our daily conversations. The word of the day is choice. It's a noun that means the power to select. For example, now you know all the facts, you can make an informed choice. Another example, many Nigerians like to pick jollof rice as their food of choice. Common synonyms for the word of the day choice is option, pick, selection, preference, alternative. Common antonyms or opposites are split, force, obligation, duty, and coercion. I encourage all of us to use the word of the day choice. Let us make good choices as we participate in today's meeting. And at the end of the session during the evaluation time, I'll be sharing feedback on our use of the word of the day and correct and improper usage of grammar. Thank you. Back to myself, the Toastmaster, the General Evaluator. That is officially how we will be managing our role players today. Thank you to everyone who will be participating, and I would now hand over back to the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Tosin. Over to you, Toastmaster Tosin.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ese. It's a pleasure to be the Toastmaster of the day once again. And I'm grateful to everyone who has chosen to play a role today, because there is no way I could have done it alone in terms of anchoring today's meeting. I mentioned earlier that today's meeting is going to be in 3 segments, and the first would be the table topic segment. I will now be introducing our table topics mistress, who will be presenting us with some wonderful questions. I'm assuming they are questions, they might be quotes, they might be whatever she has chosen, but I would like to implore each and every one of us to please participate. I don't know if all of us can participate, but as many of us can, please let us participate, because it does improve our critical thinking skills. It does just make us better speakers in general. And to be honest, it's also, if you're a guest, you can also participate in this segment, so you don't have to feel as though, oh, I'm not a registered Toastmaster yet. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the virtual lectern our table topics mistress, Toastmaster Ochiko.
Thank you so much, our able Toastmaster of the day. I'm delighted to be the table topics mistress for today in this beautiful club meeting. And we know as a nation, we're about to make a choice. We're going to choose. That also means that all our table topics will probably revolve around what is about to happen in this, our great nation. Today, I have 6 questions, and I'm looking out for 4 volunteers, 4 people who would like to step forward and speak spontaneously. We expect you to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 2 minutes. I expect that somebody will help us keep to time. And when you see the red mark, after 30 seconds, you are expected to round up within 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, officially, your speech will be disqualified. I will repeat again, we're expected to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Who are our volunteers? I have 6 questions, and I'm looking forward to having 4 volunteers. I'm going to suggest a few people, those who are not playing roles. TM Kaine, DTM Chooks. Who would like to go first?
Okay, I can go. Good afternoon. Good
Amazing.
evening.
Question 1 to 6. Good evening. What's
Okay,
your
but
choice? Question
unfortunately, I
1 to
wouldn't be
6.
able to share my video. I hope that's okay.
It's perfectly fine.
I'll go for question 6.
Question 6 is a quote by Roald Dahl, and it says, somewhere inside of all of us is the power to change the world. Somewhere inside of all of us is the power to change the world. Over to you, TM Kaine.
Thank you very much, able toast mistress of the day. Somewhere inside of all of us is the power to change the world. As we prepare for the upcoming elections in Nigeria, that's going to hold on Saturday, the 25th of February, 2023. I'd like to just pose a question to all of us on this call. How prepared are you to change the status quo? How prepared are you to take the decision to have a new Nigeria? How prepared are you to actually walk, or by whatever means, get to your polling unit to ensure that you make that change that would indeed result in a new Nigeria? Inside of us is a burning desire to make a change, but we need to take some steps to ensure that that change happens. So again, I ask, how prepared are all of us on this call? One thing that you would need at this point is your permanent voter's card. And so I ask, do you know where your permanent voter's card is right now? Have you gone to take a look at where you may have kept your permanent voter's card to ensure that it's actually where you want it to be? It's actually accessible. Have you also identified your polling unit? Remember that inside of you, inside of every individual, is a desire to change the status quo for themselves, to change the status quo for those around them, and indeed to change the status quo for the nation. You can only do this if you are prepared for the upcoming elections on Saturday. So I would like to encourage us, for those of us who are downcast by the happenings in Nigeria, I would like to encourage us, take that step, take that bold step, realizing that you can actually make a change. You can actually create a change that you so much desire, and you can also be that change that you desire to be. Thank you very much, and over to you, Toastmistress.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was amazing. Thank you for that speech. Do you know where your PVC is located? Don't look for it on Saturday morning. Do we have another volunteer? Do we have another volunteer? Madam President, will you like to go?
That's fine. I'll go. That's fine. I'll go.
All right. Thank you. Question: which one is your choice?
What numbers do I have left to choose from?
1 to 5.
Okay, I'll do number 4.
Number 4.
Yes.
Number 4, again, it's another quote by Debbie. And she says, democracy is about voting. And it is about a majority vote, Over to you.
Okay, can you please take that again? You were breaking. I don't know if any other person heard you.
Democracy is about voting, and it's about a majority vote. Did you hear that?
Democracy is about voting and is about a majority vote. That's a quote, right?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I see you put it in chat box. Can I go? Are you done? Is that the end of the quote?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the end. Yes. Go ahead.
Democracy is about voting and it's about a majority vote. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests, if there are any. The quote says, democracy is about voting and it's about a majority vote. Democracy is about voting and it's about a majority vote. And I repeat it because I'm actually trying to make sense of this quote. It almost looks like they're just two different sentences put together. I'm not sure who this quote is about or who put out the quote, but well, I'll do my best with what I know about it. In Nigeria today, I'm a Nigerian and I can only speak for Nigeria. The word democracy has been tossed about to and fro for several decades. From when we first got our independence on the 1st of October, 1960, till date, we have been tossing the word democracy about. We went from civilian rule to military rule and back to civilian rule, and the word democracy has featured in all of that. We are not ourselves when we are under military rule. We want democracy. But when we're under democracy, we don't know what we want because democracy is not what we think it should be. So democracy is about voting, and the quote is apt for this season because our theme for today is about voting as well. And yes, without voting, without the choice of choosing the leader you want to lead you, then really what is democracy? It is said that democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And so the people must be involved in choosing the leader that they want to lead them. But when the choice is taken away from you, like we somewhat see today, where there are riots and things are difficult, money is difficult to access, fuel is on another level, fuel prices are on another level, and things just seem so tight. It almost feels like the choice to actually vote who you want to vote is actually taken away from you because there are so many restrictions. So I ask myself, are we really in a democracy at this time? Will you say we're in a democracy? Most of us, if not all of us on this call, probably do have our permanent voters cards, our PVCs. And the only way we can actually have a government for and by the people is to go out and make use of that card. Is to go and make sure that the majority of the votes are for the candidates of our choice. And so I implore everyone here to step out on Saturday and make that choice for themselves. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for reminding us that democracy is government by the people, and we need to participate. Thank you for that. We have 2 more slots for table topics. Who wants to go next? 4 questions and 2 volunteers. We have 4 questions and 2 volunteers.
Right, I'll go.
All right, I'll zing the team. We have questions 1, 2, 3, and 5.
That'll be
Questions 1.
Yeah.
Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves and our country. Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves and our country.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Table Topics Master. Greetings, Toastmasters, guests. Lovely Pecten Toastmasters Club. Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves and to our country. Wholeheartedly agree with that. And at no point in time would you even want to agree, or would I want to agree with that more than a season like this, 3 days leading up to the presidential elections in Nigeria. It's interesting because I started seeing a few trends from yesterday, and it was a trend of people on airplanes taking pictures and posting party logos beside them saying, this is me going to do my part for Nigeria. And these are people who are living at the moment in different parts of the world, in Canada, in the US, in the UK, taking out of their own hard-earned money, obviously not sponsored by a party, obviously not getting free tickets from British Airways or KLM or Air France or Qatar Airways or even Air Peace. These are people taking their hard-earned money, strolling into Nigeria, almost in tears, almost crying both tears and blood to come and demonstrate their own commitment to themselves and to the country. A few days ago, I said to someone, who might say, oh, this voting thing, we don't really have to do it. Why are you going through too much stress? I told the person, my children have only one passport at the moment, and it's green colored. If for nothing else, that is the reason why I should be committed to the process. So indeed, voting is a true demonstration of our commitment to both self and to our nation. Almost no other way can we show it better than actually participating in such a process. Thank you. And back to you, our table topics master.
Thank you, Zing DTN, for reminding us that that is one way we can show our commitment, and for telling us that story of people coming all the way. That is a very great level of commitment to make a choice for Nigeria on Saturday. Because of time, we'll have to stop here, and I will hand over the virtual lectern back to the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Oluwatosin.
Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Mistress. Those are indeed wonderful questions. They got us thinking and they got us reflecting. Thank you very much. And of course, a big thank you to our speakers as well. We had Toastmaster Kaine, we had Toastmaster Tari, Madam President herself, and we had distinguished Toastmaster Chooks, the Zing DTM. Thank you very much for your wonderful insights. At this point, we're moving on to the next segment, which is typically supposed to be the prepared speech segment. But if you recall, I did mention that we have a special guest in our midst today, and that happens to be the division director. He is visiting today, and I'm sure he has a few words of encouragement for us. And I'm talking about none other than the wonderful Toastmaster, Dr. Nelson Ayodele, the DNA himself. The virtual lecture is yours.
Thank you most graciously. The Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Oluwatosin. Please confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can. Okay. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and it's a pleasure to interact with members of Pecten Toastmasters Club. I want to congratulate the president, our dear Ditari Adebisi. I want to appreciate every officer on this call. And I want to particularly appreciate our Zing DTM, Chooks Nwabweze, the PQD for the division, for the great role that he has been playing to keep all the clubs within the divisions together, particularly the clubs in the South-South. Without any doubt, you are all familiar with what we call the DCP goals, the Toastmasters Club. And that is what I will want to hinge my brief talk upon. I would have loved to go with your team, which is on voting, but it is my choice right now to speak on our DCP goals. If I have a little more time, I will speak on voting, which I believe is a fundamental right of every Nigerian, which has to be exercised for us to determine the direction in which we desire the nation to go in the next 4 years. Having said that, I will want to say that it is not looking very good with us right now at the division. Some of us were at the meeting with the district director some few days ago, and we were made to know that in the ratings and gradings, divisions, we are not doing well. We are really at the bottom of the pyramid. And it's something that calls for quick attention and intervention at the same time. And that is why I will want to encourage the club officers that are here. Thank God that Toastmaster Olorunleke is also here. He's a club president. We all need to wake up at a time like this, within the short period that remains for our tenure to be over, for us to see what we can do. I should not start going through with us what our DCP goals entails, but we should know that we have a 10-point agenda that we have to work towards. And out of these 10 points, as we speak right now, I don't know what the narrative will be in the next 1 or 2 days, but as we speak right at this moment, we are 1/10. And I'm sure that that report on the dashboard is not what we desire to have at a time like this. So it is something that I believe that all of us will choose to reject as our portion. It is not our portion to end the Toastmasters year with 1/10. So we have a choice to make. Are we going to sit down and fold our hands and see things keep going this way till boiler? We have the 30th day of June, 2023, and we say our time is up. And then our report sheet shows us 1/10. I reject this in all entirety, and I believe that we can do something about this situation. I have so much respect for everyone, especially that I see on this call that are members of the Toastmasters Club down there. And I know that we are all veterans in our various callings, and we can bring in our expertise and knowledge and experience, having been members of this club for a while, to bear on what we need to do as a matter of emergency to change the narrative of our position and our situation. In terms of our individual educational goals, the president and the VPE, we will need to do a lot of encouragement for our members. We will need to put a little bit of pressure on every member of the club to endeavor to come to club meetings and give their speeches. We have a base of 23, and then we are 20 members up to this moment, but we are yet to have any of our members complete their various levels of speeches, either level 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And that we have to work upon in the next few months that we have. I will want to encourage us that we should also be a bit more aggressive in this last leg of the race. I want to call it the last leg of the race towards the end of the Toastmasters year, that we should try to invite as many friends, relatives, colleagues at work, neighbors, anyone at all that we have relationship with. Let's invite them to our meetings. It's very difficult for us this evening, for example, to have a complete greetings where we'll say, good evening, fellow distinguished Toastmasters, Toastmasters, and guests, because there seems to be no guests at this meeting today. We should ensure that for every meeting, we bring guests along. Even if you will have to go and borrow them, you go and borrow guests and just bring them and make sure that we have a record of guests in our meetings. And you can never say bringing a guest to a meeting can be a defining moment where such a guest will make a choice and say, yes, from today, I am not leaving this place. I love what I have experienced here. You can't really determine what makes guests to become members, but the first step of ensuring that guests become members is first and foremost to invite them to meet, make them to experience what Toastmasters Club offers, which is one of the things we read all the time, that we have our Toastmasters promise. We are promising in that promise shape that we will bring guests to meetings, but we are not fulfilling this promise because we are not bringing guests to meetings. So when we bring guests to meetings, the chances that we will have more members is heightening. And then when we organize special events, we have talked about taking opportunity of every festive season to have a hangout, to have a get-together and invite people, friends, especially potential Toastmasters. Invite them for such exciting time and then leave them with their decision and their choice to make whether they want to join the club or not. But organize the event and then bring the people. And then let's make sure that our club meetings are usually very exciting. There's no doubt about it that we have exciting meetings at Pecten, but let it be such that it will attract people to want to come. Let it be such that it will have value for people to derive from. Let it be such that even for us as officers and members, we will know that we have value for the time invested every time we come in to sit for a meeting. To invest 2 hours of our life into a meeting is not a small thing, like I usually say. To anywhere I'm going to sit down for 2 hours, I want to have a return on investment at the end of the day. I want to be able to say that this is what I got. And if in all honesty, I didn't get anything, it is not likely that I'll want to be back so soon. So, and that is what makes people to come in and never want to come again. It is what they got as value for the time they invested in the very first time that they attend a meeting. These are some of the content of the moments of truth as we are all familiar with. So to not waste much of our time, which I really don't always want to do, I will just want to leave us with an encouragement that whether we think we can or we think that we can't, we are both right. Going by the favorite quote of our president, Oluwatosin, we should take a decision that we can. We should make that choice that we still can. We can still make president distinguished. And making president distinguished means that we are going to have 9 over 10. We are not even going to stop and select distinguished with a 7 over 10, or we are never going to be contented with just being a distinguished club with just 5 points. We want to go for the ultimate 10 over 10, minimum 9 over 10, and end this year with president distinguished. How are we going to do this? Definitely, I am not part of the people on the ground to execute this. But behind the scene, I'll be cheering you up. Behind the scene, I will even be praying for you. And behind the scene, I will be open that we will collectively come together, rally ourselves together, team up, and put forces together to ensure that we achieve the needful we do the needful and achieve our president distinguished status. I know we can do it, and I know we will do it. So I want to leave you in the hands of the Most High God. I'm going a bit spiritual now, who is able to do beyond and above all that we can think or hope for, according to the power that worketh in us. We have what it takes to do it. So if we don't do it, we have ourselves to thank, because we have all that it takes to do it and to achieve it. And I know that we will do it. Please, let's vote on Saturday, and let's ensure that we are part of the great change that this country requires at such a time like this. I leave you right now, but I will not leave you for so long. I'll soon be back again, and I pray that by the time I'm back before the end of the tenure, our ratings would have drastically improved. Over to you, the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster President Oluwatosin Olorunleke.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your words of encouragement. Thank you for reminding us of why we are Toastmasters and what we have promised to do as Toastmasters. I'm sure we will keep putting in our best, and we will have results to show for it at the end of the day. Thank you very much. Now we will be moving on to the next segment of the meeting, segments that some consider the most highly anticipated. And today it's particularly special because usually we have people complete projects. But today we have people completing not just projects, but entire pathways or paths, actually. So we have two people doing that. We have Madam President, Distinguished Toastmaster Tari, and we also have Madam Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Ekuchi. Indeed, the leaders at Pecten Toastmasters are leading by example. So well done and kudos to you all. The first speaker today will be Distinguished Toastmaster Tari. Toastmaster Tari is like I'm prophesying into your life. Well, Toastmaster Tari, who will become a distinguished Toastmaster very soon in the near future. But the first speaker will be Toastmaster Tari, and to evaluate her speech, we'll be having the Zing DTM himself, distinguished Toastmaster Chooks. I can see his people are taking his attention a bit, but I think he's ready for us now as he gives them the side eye. Distinguished Toastmaster Chooks, the virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Once again, thanks everyone, Pecten Toastmasters Club, and thanks especially to our division director also for those great words of inspiration and encouragement. I think by way of some comfort, I look in this room, and permit me please for just a few seconds. I look in this room and I see that 1/10 already turned to 4/10, just by virtue of this meeting that we're holding today. I see 4/10 already. This is not a prophecy, I see it here, because I see 2 part completions. That's 2 level 5s on the board. I see Didi here. Didi is going to log COC attendance, for which Pecten had 6/7. So that's to complete 1 more point. That's 3 already. 4/10 guaranteed just by presence and activity and all doing our part in this meeting. So I have no worries at all that we'll get to the promised land by the end of the mandate. So well done again, President Tari. And again, like was said, leading by example. So many future Toastmasters in this meeting. Well done, Toastmaster. Today, I love this speech because it is reflect on your path. And Toastmaster Tari has aptly titled it today, Pathway Reflections. It is always impressive because there's a popular quote that says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step. But the truth is that the journey of 1,000 miles also ends with 1 step. And that 1 step, ending 1 journey today, is being taken by Toastmaster Tari as she tells us of her experience completing an entire path and pathways. It's probable that this journey has taken a year, 3 years, thereabouts, but he's going to compress that whole story in 10 to 12 minutes, essentially. Give us a few aspects of that and just tell us how it has gone, and really to serve as an inspiration for those of us who are still coming along on the journey. What can we take from her journey to inspire us and put us further on our own journey? That's what we expect to see, both from her and from the next speaker. So I guess this can even cover for both. Thank you very much, and it's back to you, Toastmaster, today.
Thank you very much, the Zinc DTM. And with very high expectations and anticipation, I'd like to welcome Toastmaster Adebisi to deliver her speech titled A Journey of Pluses. A Journey of Pluses. Toastmaster Tari.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Tosin. Good evening once again, fellow Toastmasters. Indeed, it has been a journey of pluses from the moment I stepped into Toastmasters, and especially Pecten Toastmasters Club. It's an honor to actually give this speech this evening. In fact, reflecting, going through the materials to prepare for this speech and reflecting on my pathway, it dawned on me how much I had gained from when I joined Toastmasters in 2019 up till date. Sometimes we do not know the pluses that have come into our lives if we do not sit down, think, reflect, and actually make notes of the positives that you have made along your journey. And so this particular project for me was one of deep reflection and indeed appreciating all over again all I have gone through and all I have come through and all I have gained in this experience. I remember my first Toastmaster meeting sometime in November 2018 in SPDC. It was a face-to-face meeting. At that time, there was no COVID, of course, so everything was done face-to-face. And I remember the energy in that room. It was a mixture of amateurs and Amazons, a mixture of beginners and those I would call bestsellers, people who had honed their skills and were widely sought after. And I remember the speeches that were given that day, and I remember saying, wow, when, God, when, like we normally say in Nigeria, when will I get to the level of speaking like this without pause fillers? I didn't even know what pause fillers was at that time, but well, now I know. Speaking so fluently and so calmly that people actually get the message you're trying to deliver. Finally, I registered in March of 2019. I went through the evaluation process and then I picked a pathway, and my pathway was presentation mastery, and I started the journey. And through this journey, I've had to learn, unlearn, and relearn certain things. Things I thought were right and weren't. Things I didn't know were right and weren't doing them. I had to learn and relearn and unlearn all of them. So what and what did I learn? Naturally, I am a fast speaker. I speak fast, naturally. But one thing I know I have learned from being a Toastmaster is how to pace myself. Now, when I say I have learned, it doesn't mean that I've reached the end of the journey, because this is a continuous journey. I am still learning how to pace myself, how to speak calmly in such a manner that those who you're actually speaking to actually are on the journey with you. You haven't passed on any information if you speak faster than people can hear or understand. And so that's one of the things I am learning. Another thing I'm learning is how to speak within allocated time. It's easy, especially if you're a subject matter expert, to talk for hours even when given the opportunity to. But the training in Toastmasters is such that you're given a particular period of time and you must stick to that time. Otherwise, you're disqualified if it's a competition or even if it's just a normal meeting like this. So those were the two of the things I have learned. What did I unlearn? I had mentioned pause fillers before, and I am still unlearning that. It doesn't come easy. It's something that will occur with a lot of practice. And so those are one of the things I am having to unlearn, saying or trying to fill with other words or sounds when my thoughts are not quite together. And then what have I had to relearn? In fact, this relearn, I would say, remind myself about, and that is the reason why I joined Toastmasters in the first place. I wanted to become a better speaker. I wanted to become a better communicator, and also a better leader. And when I saw people doing what I thought I couldn't do, that was challenge enough for me. And so I remind myself from time to time that this is the reason why you joined Toastmasters. Therefore, it doesn't matter who you joined with. It doesn't matter who has fallen off the bench. Go ahead, because this is what you want to achieve for you, to be a better person, a better leader, whether at work, at home, or wherever else. And so those are the things I've had to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Inside of Toastmasters, looking back, I realized I have come from a place where I spent several weeks trying to get a speech together. So I spent literally minutes trying to get a speech together. I remember the first speech I did I had to put together in minutes, and that was, I think it was a level 2 project. And the title of that speech was Magic in a Jar. And it was so funny. I didn't think of giving a speech that day, but towards the end, somehow people kept backing out, and I'm like, okay, let me give a speech. And I looked around the office that afternoon and I saw a jar of coffee, and that was my inspiration. And I love coffee. I love my coffee in the morning. People in my house will tell you, just don't even talk to her before she has had her first cup. And I know what coffee does for me. I'm like, okay, that's like magic, you're feeling down and then you get the perk. And that jar of coffee was my prop for that speech. And the way the speech was received, it was a good speech, at least from the evaluator's point of view. It was a good speech. And I literally just put that speech together in minutes. And it taught me one thing. Never say never. There is nothing you cannot achieve if you actually put your mind to it. I was pleasantly surprised at myself at the end of that speech. And that particular speech stands out for me. Like I said, it was put together in maybe about 30 minutes. Secondly, what did I learn on this journey? Secondly, I learned the art of communication, making people understand where you are coming from. In fact, passing the message such that there is no ambiguity. The recipients, the receivers, the hearers actually understand what you're saying the way you intended them to understand. And every Toastmaster will tell you that communication and leadership are the core points to actually develop in your Toastmasters journey. And so for me, that was also something I had to learn. Thirdly, serving in different capacities, be it an evaluator, a speaker, be it in the EXCO, first of all, as a vice president education, and now as president. I have learned a lot just by serving, just by being behind the scenes, so to speak, and trying to coordinate things so that things work out well, so that meetings go well, contests go well, contributing both in my club and in other clubs. There is so much to learn by putting yourself out there. And it's funny because initially you would think that I can't do this, I won't be able to do this, or I don't even have time for this. But you surprise yourself, it's surprising when you just put yourself out there and then you see what comes out of it. So that's the third thing I've learned. And then also in playing these different roles, even in the role of playing an evaluator, you think it's just sitting and just judging somebody's speech. But there's so much to learn, even from the way you put your words together, from the way you pass on the evaluation. That was also a new thing for me. And I'm grateful that I was on this journey to actually learn that. Now, outside of Toastmasters, what has been the gains? Before I joined Toastmasters, because I'm someone who loves passing across knowledge, somebody once said that I should have been a lecturer. I usually talk and try to teach people a thing or two. But after joining Toastmasters, I realized that the level of presentation has actually improved. I do quite a number of TV and radio shows. Somehow people invite me for one thing or the other, maybe by reason of my profession as well. I do a number of TV and radio shows. And when I play those videos back, I realize how far I have come in the way I put my words together, in the way I present my thoughts, in the way I arrange my thoughts and then present them. I realize that there's been an exponential growth. Also, being able to coach or mentor others as well has been another plus for me on this journey. It isn't easy to bring a group of people together, or even one person, to teach them skills or to pass across information or knowledge that you have so that they can run their own race and succeed in it. But because of this pathway, and because I am in a Toastmasters club that is big on mentoring and coaching, even though most of the time it's informal, I have learned how to do just that. Also, outside of Toastmasters, I realized that many opportunities to do other things have come my way. Most of them I've turned down, but some of them I cannot say no to. For instance, for the past 3 years, I've sort of been the official MC for my association, which is Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, River State Chapter. Even though I'm an expert in that group, somehow I've learned to be, or they have continuously asked me to be the MC for their major events. And these are not small events. These are events where you have governors, deputy governors, and the like. So I've been doing this for the past 3 years. And of course, well, even though it's not paid, we know that if it was a paid gig, then I would be in a lot of money. So that's another plus for me on this journey. knowing that I can actually put myself out there, do this thing and get paid for it, even though I'm not being paid for it right now, but maybe sometime in the future, who knows? And yes, those are the prospects for the future, paid job. And the next thing I would think or envision myself achieving in Toastmasters will be, first of all, of course, to continue honing my skills. This journey doesn't have an end. I may have come to the end of one pathway, presentation mastery, but there are several other pathways that I can also go through. And so I've decided to go on another pathway and another pathway as much as I can. Working towards achieving a goal in itself is something that would benefit you in the end. Having a goal, working towards it, even if you don't get to that goal, is something that benefits you in the end. And that's one thing I have learned. So there you have it, my journey of pluses. Have there been times I've been discouraged on this journey? For sure. There are times where you have to step in because somebody has suddenly dropped off. There are times where you're just not feeling up to it. You're swamped with work, you're swamped with so much, but you still have to put your thoughts together and give that speech. You still have to put your thoughts together and be present at the meeting. You still have to put things aside and evaluate that speech. There are discouraging times where you get an evaluation that doesn't really go the way you want to go. But yes, that's the reason why you're here in the first place. It doesn't have to be rosy all the time. You pick what you need to pick from that evaluation, you put it back into the next speech and you go ahead. If I was a touchy person before, I have learned that when feedback is given to you, it isn't to bring you down, it's actually to build you up. That's another thing I know I've learned on this journey. And so I would continue on the journey. I would continue with a different pathway. I will continue playing roles as much as I can. I'll continue mentoring and coaching others who are coming in as much as I can. And I hope that this journey actually begins another journey that will lead also to another success. So that's my journey of pluses. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tari. Please, let's unmute our microphones and let's put our hands together for Toastmaster Tari. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, distinguished Toastmaster Truth. I saw your microphone betraying you. But thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, Toastmaster Tari. If you're a guest in our midst and you're looking for a reason to join Toastmasters, you need not look any further because we have just had some evangelism about Toastmasters at the moment. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take the second speech because something came up and she will not be able to deliver that speech anymore. So I'm sure the Vice President Education will have that speech arranged so that the club can get that point like distinguished Toastmaster Chooks had prophesied. It's almost like they wanted to come against you, distinguished Toastmaster Chooks. But don't worry, I'm sure that point will come in at the nick of time. Thank you very much once again. So we will now be moving on to the evaluation segment. And to lead us in evaluations, I'll be welcoming to the virtual podium our own Vice President Education, Toastmaster Essay. Toastmaster Essay.
Thank you. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Apologies in case you see there's an extra Toastmaster with us today. Thank you everyone that has participated in today's session. First off, I would like to call on our evaluation. Okay. Please confirm you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I would like to call on distinguished Toastmaster Chooks for his evaluation. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, General Evaluator. I thought I'd get a few more seconds to collect my thoughts when you're evaluating this kind of
it's fine. I can give mine.
For the table topics.
Yes, please.
Okay. But if you're fine to do.
I'm fine.
Not,
not this boy. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. So first off, our first speaker was TM Kaine, who spoke on the quote, "Somewhere inside of us
is the power to change the world. One beautiful thing I loved that she did was how she used date, time, and location to draw us to know when is the presidential election. I like that she said on Saturday, 25th February, 2023. That was a good way to make sure it's indelible in our minds. Great choice there. In addition, I loved how she asked us a lot of questions that made us ponder, even as she answered her question. Like when she said, how prepared are you to change the status quo? One suggestion I would have for her is when we ask questions, we also have to allow our audience reply, even if it's just in their mind. So for example, when she asked 3 questions in simultation, she said, how prepared are all of us? Do you know where your PVC is right now? Have you identified your polling units? I felt as she asked those questions, might have wasted for within 1 to 3 seconds, so we could answer it in our mind. But those were great questions that would help and fit greatly with the quotes she was talking about. I also loved how she reframed the quotes by telling us that it's not just inside you, it's inside all of us, and encouraging all of us that we can create change that we desire. Well done, Toastmaster Kaine. Our next speaker was Toastmaster Tari, and she spoke on the quote that democracy is about voting and it's about the majority vote. I love the fact that when she didn't hear the question, she asked for clarity, that it be repeated to be sure she got it. In addition, I love that she started by smiling and greeting the audience when giving this table topic. In addition, her video was enabled and she showed us the journey of moving from civilian to military to civilian. In addition, I liked how she defined democracy for us as it being government for the people, of the people, by people. And she spoke about contemporary issues we could all relate with, like the fall crisis, the cash troubles. And I love how she gave us a call to action that we should all go out and make use of that card. Tied it back beautifully to the quote that let us become part of the majority. Thank you for a beautiful speech. My only feedback would be telling one personal story that would help us connect when we give this kind of speech. Tell us maybe about one of the hurdles you faced in the crisis you listed, or maybe a voting experience you had that showed the beauty of being part of the majority vote. Well done, Toastmaster Tari. Our last speaker was distinguished Toastmaster Chooks, who spoke on the topic that voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves and our country. I love that he answered in the affirmative that yes, it was a quote he supported. In addition, I love that he gave an example about people who are traveling back in airplanes, coming from multiple locations, which he listed. In addition, I also love his vocal variety when he said, we might say, oh, this voting thing, why are you stressing yourself? When he was referencing a conversation with his friend. I thought that was very well done. My only feedback would be when we say statements like KLM, Air France, or even Air Peace, I might not know what they are. So it might help if you suggest and say, if you're traveling via airlines or airplanes, that would really help. But I also love that you ended by rephrasing the topic that indeed voting is a demonstration of our commitment to ourselves and our country. Well done to our 3 speakers and also our table topics master for giving such beautiful topics and expressing it well. We made great choices, and back to you, the general evaluator. Please, can anyone hear me? Let me not assume that I'm talking to myself.
Heard you very
Hello?
well.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So, distinguished Toastmaster, please confirm if you are now ready to give the evaluation for.
I am now ready. I'm now ready for Toastmaster Dr. Tari after she has stretched.
Hello?
I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Okay, today's going to be. Please confirm if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Toastmaster.
Okay,
can
can the Zoom DTM hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, please, over to you. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, thank you, Toastmaster Dr. Tari, for concluding your part. I always enjoy it when people get to this point in their journeys, and I always enjoy being a part of it because there's just a celebratory mood around it. Even if it doesn't look like anyone is popping champagne in the Zoom meeting here, but believe me, in my heart of hearts, I am popping champagne because for times like this that we live. So well done. This has been a great speech. Initially, I was wondering that the topic of this speech is boring. Toastmaster Ditari wouldn't do this from Magic in a Jar and all the other fancy speeches. But true to it, when you started, you said this speech was titled A Journey of Pluses. The agenda misguided me because I just saw pathways reflection there. And that was a really good topic because it helped you kick off on a good note. I love the way you started with a proper reflection. And Toastmaster Essie already highlighted elements of a proper reflection during her general or table topics evaluation, rather, when you mentioned a location, that time in 2018, you speak back to the people you met, the way they made you feel. We talked about that level 2 speech titled Magic in the Jar, where you prepared for the first time in a very short space of time, 30 minutes, and still delivered quite a good speech that got good feedback. I love that proper reflection there because that is really what reflect on your path is. If you do not call back such memories, then we cannot even begin to imagine what it was to walk that path. And that you doing helped us walk that path with you in the last 10 to 12 minutes you spent on that, which was very good. What do I think could have been a bit better today? I'll start with the very minor one, which is around the light at the back. I would not have mentioned, but because of those of us they call Ojugo, glasses people in the Southwest, it affects our lenses, puts reflections. So that then affects how much communication we can have with our eyes, which are also a critical communication tool when we speak. So something we always struggle with, and we'll keep learning to manage better as we go forward. The second, which is the big part, which I'll dwell on, is coming back to the very basics of speaking, of communication as a whole. And from level 1, we begin to learn that communication structure is important in communication, and we must have a clear opening, body, and closing. The interesting bit that they never tell us is that as you go further in this journey, even within your body, you must have a clear structure for your message to stick. It's okay to speak for 4 to 6 minutes and get away with a body that is not properly structured. You didn't have much time to spend there, so you can't even overload people with information. But when you start speaking for 12, 15, 20, 30 minutes, we really have to come to the point where we structure the body of our message such that it is more memorable. And the goal there is more memorable because attention span is so horribly short in this generation. So we want to make our communication as memorable as possible. And that's the goal. And when I say that, what did I think could have been better today? That opening preamble, it didn't come across as an opening preamble. When you began to talk, just reflect on yourself as being a fast speaker. The use of analogies there would have helped. Probably saying, this is me standing here today, from being that fast speaker to learning to pace myself, from being that person who talked at 20 words per minute to speaking a little calmly just so that the people can get me better today, or being that person who took feedback to make her better to the person today who takes feedback to make her better. Just the use of analogies and that opening preamble would have helped to make that message more memorable. The second thing around the structure of the body of your message today was around the actual pluses, the ones you numbered, and you said 3. There's something beautiful about telling people, I'm going to tell you 3 things, and these are the 3 things, 1, 2, 3. And when you finish telling them, you then say, oh, these are the 3 things I did tell you about. It really does make it more memorable. It also helps if we can borrow from some of our friends and pals like distinguished Toastmaster Doku, who would always tell us 3 C's, 3 Z's, 3 L's. What that does is that it also improves the ability for the audience to remember what you say. Because while we will remember that you said, you told us about magic in the jar, never say never, communication, messaging with no ambiguity, serving in different capacities and all that, it would have really helped us to remember better if it was better structured. Now, still referring to the body of the message. You talked about a number of other pluses. Again, it would have been better if you had a large list of 7 even, and we know that these 7, everything was going to be in there, mentoring and all. But beyond that, I thought it was a great speech. And I'll end with 2 things that I really liked about this. I like the fact that you talked about the struggles, because nobody goes through a full path without any struggle. We do struggle through some part of it, and it's good for people who are still on this path to know that there are struggles. They are not the first people to struggle like that. We all have gone through it, and we can't come through it. So I like that. And finally, I love the fact that you linked this to the external, the fact that you do related activities on TV and radio, because I'll typically say Toastmasters is not necessarily an end in itself. It is a means to an end, and we must always make that connection with where we are in Toastmasters and how it connects to our impact outside of Toastmasters. Overall, fantastic speech. I'm so happy to celebrate the end of this part, presentation mastery, with you, Toastmaster Dr. Tari Adebisi, our president. Thank you, and it's back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that evaluation.
Thank you so much. Please, we can all share our love notes in the chat box and also put our hands together for Toastmaster Tari successfully completing her pathway. Apologies, I would have to disable my video due to unplanned. I would now like to call on the accounter. Toastmaster Joy, please confirm you're on the call to give your accounter reports. Let me just, I know she had messaged me that she had a bit of network, which is okay. In case she shares her feedback, I would share it back with the house. For our timing reports, Toastmaster Kaine used 2 minutes 14 seconds, Toastmaster Tari used 2 minutes 18 seconds, and Distinguished Toastmaster Chooks used 1 minute 30 seconds for the table topic session. For the division director's visit, his conversation was for 13 minutes 45 seconds. TM Tari's speech was 11 minutes 12 seconds, and TM Chooks' evaluation was 4 minutes 11 seconds. In addition, I would now be giving let me just reconfirm that if I've gotten my accounter report. Okay, it has not come in. I would now be giving for the grammar, our word of the day, just remind all of us, was choice, and it means the act of selecting. I know that Distinguished, the division director, used the word of the day. Toastmaster Tari used it once, and Toastmaster SA used it once. As we go about our week, and especially as we express the power of majority in voting, let us make informed choices. A word that really stood out to me today was when Toastmaster Tari said, passing the message such that there is no ambiguity. I really liked that word, ambiguity. In addition, when she said, I realized that there had been an exponential growth. I also liked that word, exponential. One improper usage of grammar that stood out was, I would be a lot of money. A better way to rephrase it would have been, I would be earning a lot of money. I think those were the most in terms of our use of the word of the day and our usage of grammar. This meeting was a good meeting. I absolutely loved the fact that we had table topics that suited the theme. I also liked that the theme was something that corresponded with the contemporary situation in Nigeria. I loved how the table topics were all framed around call to actions. And congratulations to Toastmaster Tari for completing her pathway. I also appreciate the division director for the charge he gave to the club, not just his leaders, but also his members, in being aggressive as we go on this last leg and organizing outing events as a way to build bonding and networking with more diverse people. Thank you to everyone who has joined this meeting. My feedback for Pecten Club, even if we know that a Toastmaster wears many hats, would really encourage that we have more members speaking and also more members playing roles. There were instances of many members, including the general evaluator, who's currently speaking, wearing multiple hats. Would really encourage more diversity. I love the time management in today's meeting. I think that's something commendable. And all in all, I hope we will continue to keep the Toastmaster baton flying, even as we make informed choices as part of the Pecten Toastmasters community. Thank you to our table topics master, our Toastmaster of the day, and our evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster Chooks, for the great feedback. And that would be my general evaluation. I would now hand over back to the Toastmaster of the day for his closing remark. Over to you, our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam VPE. And of course, a big well done to everyone who has participated in today's meeting, starting from Vice President Education, who put this meeting together, to everyone who played a role, to the speakers, and even to each and every one of you who were just a part of the audience. The meeting could not have been complete without every single one of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure being your Toastmaster of the day, and it's always fun coming around to Pecten Toastmasters Club. Thank you for having me. I would like to remind us once more about the theme of today's meeting, which is basically the power of voting. So it has been hammered upon severally, but I feel as though it cannot be overly hammered on. So I just want to say once more, please, if you have your PVCs, make sure you go out on Saturday to vote who you think is best for the country. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And at this point, I have to say goodbye. But to close the meeting properly, I'd like to welcome to the lectern our President, Toastmaster Ditari.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tosin, our Toastmaster of the day. And thank you to everyone who made our time to be here this evening. I believe something has been said or done that has actually improved or actually has added to you and you would actually use going forward. This is Pecten Toastmasters. If you're with us for the first time, I doubt we have any guests. I doubt it. The names I see here are names I'm used to, but I see an Asian Michael. Are you a guest, please? Good evening. Is it still here? Am I being heard?
Yes, you are.
So quiet in here. Okay, so there's an Asian Michael on the call. Hello, good evening. I wanted you to just say hello and let's hear your voice. Okay. Okay. Well, if you're a guest, welcome. And we hope to see you again the next time we have the meeting, which is in 2 weeks from now. For every other person who has been here before, if you are a guest who has been here before, please move to the next level and let us make you one of our members. I know of the person I'm talking to, and I'm sure she knows herself. She's here, Sonifie. I'm sure she'd want to commit to becoming a member. So we would happily welcome you into our club. Thank you very much to our Divisional Director, our DNA. Thank you for your visit, for your words of encouragement. Indeed, 1/10 is not the way to go, but from this meeting alone, I'm sure we'll have 2 extra marks added to that. And we will do our best to actually achieve those 10 points before the end of June. Thank you very much once again. You're someone who is always available whenever we need to talk, and that is really highly appreciated. The fact that you're very approachable, you and our PQD, our Zing DTM, you're very approachable, and that's one thing I love about this particular area division. Thank you very much, everyone. Toastmaster Chichu, I see you. Toastmaster Kaine, Toastmaster Amara, Toastmaster Ese, again for holding forth, and Toastmaster Tonifi, I take that step to call you a Toastmaster. Thank you for being here. Please stay safe, everyone, even as you go out on Saturday to vote. Stay safe, be watchful, and please avoid anything that looks like danger. We want everyone alive and well at the end of the election, and let's pray and hope that the right people come into power. Good evening and good night, everyone. See you in another 2 weeks. Bye, everyone. I think you can unmute and actually let's hear your voices.
Bye.
Toastmaster Ditari.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good,
Thank
Toastmaster
you,
Tonifi.
President.
Thank you very much, DNA. Tonifi, I see you. Tonifi, come and join. Come. In fact, I'm going to call you.
For now, I'll just keep listening. You guys do a
Okay.
wonderful job. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Bye, everyone.
So have
Bye.
a nice evening. Toastmaster Tari, the Zing DTM will get in touch with you.
Okay.
We should have a meeting on Friday. Very crucial.
Okay.
Meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Tosin has left. I'm sure Chooks will also get in touch with Tosin. The two of you, you are vital. Your presence will be vital at that meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. There.
Yeah. Extend my greetings to my twin.
I will. Thank you.
I will still chat with you on that.
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye, the Zing DTN. Have a nice evening to you.